So lesson 2, the development environment setup. Here we'll be looking at the steps needed to set up a new workstation and its configuration for development. We'll be looking at a standalone development environment, meaning no need for connectivity with other servers, everything running from one Windows computer. And what you will see that you need to have are 3 components: an app server, an SDK client, and a Java IDE. So, as I just said, a full Windows development installment of the product. The PSRM running on Windows has to be a Windows server, because Windows is the only place you can do development currently. They're going to have a SDK on top, and that's a set of programs which is installed on top, and an Eclipse environment as well. And we're going to be looking at that in a moment. One can actually set up a development environment for multiple users, multiple programmers, in an environment where you can share a shared app server and use a source control with a project repository, with a build server. I'm not going to be describing this at the moment, and we're going to be concentrating on doing development on one single server. And in my case over here, I'm going to show you this by going to a VM, which is running the whole system in the following way. First of all, I'm running here a Windows machine. It's running WebLogic and running the app server, and you see here in the DOS prompt, you see the running application. And I can actually access it through a browser from my computer. As well as that, I have Eclipse placed on top, and Eclipse is shown over here, and we'll be looking at this in a moment. And as well as that, we have the SDK installed. So if I have a look over here on my C drive, I have a SDK directory, and it has the SDK, all the different tools that are needed, as well as having the Eclipse installed in the same directory under Eclipse. If I go back to my C and I go to ETM, there I will see that I have my application. And under Java, I have 3 different types of source files, and the source files here are where the Java programs are placed. And there are 3 different types, as I said, and we'll be discussing that in a moment, as well as the target. As well as that, I want to show you that we have under the product, we have, under SPL app, we have the different applications which are running through the web server. So we have the app viewer running. We also have the XAI. We also have the actual application under SPL Service EAR. Okay, so let's just turn our attention now. One other thing I want to show you, and that is that in order to run the app, you will also need to have a COBOL server, Micro Focus server, running as well, so that you can run the COBOL programs, which are there are a few of those, the runtime. So in the program here, in the program files, you will see Micro Focus and Server 5.1, and that needs to be there with a license in order to be able to run the application. So if I turn our attention now to the actual Eclipse, you will see that I have we have a structure like this. We have a Java, and underneath the Java we have the different programs that directories, the different packages that I'm creating, and we'll be going to concentrate on one of these. And we will see that we'll be also using a package under under Gen, same packages under the Gen directory, and those are generated files, Java classes which are being created as a result of the process of creating new programs. So we'll be discussing that. And we also have the test, where we actually place test files to run JUnit testing. Other thing to point out is the different reference libraries. There are many reference libraries in the setup for the SDK. Important ones include the SBL PACE, which is the foundation, the framework classes. And important, actually, by the way, that we set the Java.locations to be set to the app viewer so that we can see Java docs within within our work. So SPL base and SPL, all the ones SPL are obviously come from the framework, and shared as well are the main classes that we're going to be using. And then for PSRM we have SPL tags. Again, in all cases I've set up so that the Java doc has a path so that we can actually see the Java docs within the actual code. Now I'm not going to be describing here how you create Java or how you use Eclipse. That I have expectation that you have a general idea. We're going to be moving between the Java and debug as you do the work. One last thing though that I'm going to show you is that the whole process of creating new entities and new plugins and whatever we're doing takes metadata from the actual database, from the database of the application itself. In order for the Eclipse to be able to do that, under Window and the Preferences, you'll see that there is a framework preferences and database connections, and it's connected to our localhost to the database under sysuser, which is the user that accesses the data. So that's also important that is set up, otherwise nothing will actually work. So going back and to our slides, just to highlight again, the main thing is that we have a Java folder within these within the directory showing the source and the source generation, source gen, and also for testing as well. And that's the place where all the code is going to be placed. And we also saw that in an SDK directory, which has many other things, including Eclipse. So that's a summary of the different components that make up our development environment. And again, just the most important thing to remember is that we have mainly three things. We have, it has to be done on a Windows environment. You need to have a full functioning Windows apps installation, whatever product that you're using. We're using PSRM. We need to have the SDK, which can be downloaded as well and placed on top. You need to have a COBOL runtime license in order to run the COBOL compiled programs, and you need to have the Java IDE Eclipse in order to be able to create new code.